Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon, everybody. Today we are gonna look at Q methodology. It's the science of knowing what others know. Uh, so we are gonna start with overview today, and we are gonna look at what is Q methodology, the origin and the purpose of this method, uses and implementation, where you can use it and how you can implement it, existing study, the studies that are already available with respect to multiple different fields. And then we're going to look at a little bit of my field work, that how I did it, how I did Q study, and how I did my field work. And then we are gonna see what are the uses of Q method, and why you should use Q method, and the limitations of Q method and the references. So let's look at what is Q methodology. So Q methodology is originated in 1930s by a physicist and a psychologist named William Stephenson. He was born in England, and so he is very well known to find to develop Q methodology. Uh, what's the purpose of Q study? Let's look at that. So purpose is to understand people's subjectivity and their perception, and it also can be used to find common perception amongst people with respect to the topic, and what they think and feel about the research topic, or whatever we are working on. So now let's look at uses. Where can we use the Q method? So it is widely used and wide variety of many varieties of many fields, like social sciences, questionnaire based studies, marketing study, education purpose, and healthcare sector, and there are many more. These are the few examples in the field where you can use Q method. Also, it is used in conservation biology. So how we can use in conservation biology, that we will look at further with some examples of existing study. Let's look at now implementation, how we can implement the study. So like now let's see, these are some examples that using Q methodology to understand stakeholders perspective on carnivorous translocation. So this paper is from England, and this paper it tells the stakeholders perception in Wales when they are trying to translocate pine martens from Scotland to Wales. So they wanted to look at what people think, people who have agricultural fields and others, and in other residential people. The outcome of the study was the people who have agricultural field, they are more towards the negative, that they don't want pine martens in their area because it is harmful to their agricultural field, and the annual yield becomes quite less, because there's many ways they harm agricultural fields. So that is one study. The another study is one of Nishitsa's student. He and she, they both worked partially contributed little bit. So the data was collected by Nandita, and the analysis and the this dissertation was done by Jeffrey. They worked on social factors drive sloth bear conflict in Gujarat. So they wanted to see human wildlife conflict and how they can coexist. So They wanted to see the perception of human with human coming in conflict with a sloth bear in central Gujarat. So for that, they use Q methodology to get deeper understanding of people's perception, so that we can so that they can find better planning to mitigate the conflict. So, and the third study is indigenous event and community perspective towards cultural tourism in Meghalaya, India. So they perform Q method with their local people in Meghalaya to understand the tourism activity with respect to its culture. So some people uh, was not agreeing, and some people were agreeing because it brings some into their homes, and some people did not want to disclose the spread their culture and that they have since many years. So now let's look at how we can implement it. So the first step is to developing statements or photos, and those are called Q samples. So for my thesis study dissertation, I used photos instead of statements. So that I will be telling you later. Why did I use photos? So first, to develop Q samples, you can have two types of Q samples, naturalistic and ready-made. So naturalistic statements are the ones that you initially go around your in the study area, or you go around a village, or wherever you want, wherever you are conducting the research. So you collect their common perception, that what do they actually think about, and then you short down the all the perception and select that are relevant to your study. And the ready-mades are the one that you can obtain from literature, or you can obtain from television, books, or anywhere that is already available. Mm, and so Q samples have can be structured in structured form. So it has two types, structured and unstructured. Structured are the ones that are for so structured are the ones that is designed for a research purpose, that is more relevant to the research topic, and unstructured are the one that is randomly chosen. uh, so the step two is selecting participants, are called P samples. So your sample size should be 20 to 80 people. uh, Here the goal is to get as much perception as we need, as so variety of viewpoints we need, and to get that to fulfill the aim main to fulfill the focus of getting variety of viewpoints, you need to have multiple stakeholders. So that way you will get lots of variety of viewpoints. Even if you have, let's say, if you have 30 people in your study, that is also totally fine, but it should have multiple stakeholders and variety, so that it will give you multiple and variety of viewpoints. So let's look at the next step. The next step is to collection of data that are called Q sorts. So I'll tell you that what is Q sort is. So this is Q board, and once the photos you provide to the participants, and participants are done organizing the photos, let's say from -3 to +3, that becomes your one whole Q sort. So that way, if you have 30 participants in your study, so you will be getting 30 Q sorts. So those are Q sorts. So here, what Q board explains is, so Q board explains is minus, it can have -4, -4 to +4, or it can have -5 to +5, or any topic, or sorry, any number that you want to choose. So here I have -3 to +3. So here the -3 is most negative, most disliked one. Whereas the +3 is most liked one, that is like, I love that animal or statement. And neutral is 0. Here you're neutral. So if I like the animal a little bit, if I don't like the animal a little bit, like less, so I'll put it in -1. So that is compared to -3, it is less disliked. So same goes with the positive one. So here this is the concept of this cue board, and you will get only this much of boxes to fill in. You can choose any sort of, you can have two boxes under -3 and +3, or you can have four boxes under -3 and +3, like whatever you choose. It's up to you, however you want to design. So let's look at the second part. So once the participants are uh, done organizing the photos or the statements, they have to provide justification of the given score. Like let's say, for instance, I gave wild boar -3. So I need to provide a justification that why did I give wild boar as -3. So let's say my justification can be, as a villager, I'm owning a farm. So my justification can be that they come into my farm field and they eat my crops and other crops. So that is harmful to me economically. So that's why I don't like them at all. So that's why I put in -3. But whereas +3, so I suppose, let's say for instance, I like leopard. Me as a being of working as a forest staff, I like leopard, and so I need to give justification that why I like leopard compared to other animals that are scored less. So my justification can be that I love their behavior. They are very elusive animal, and they are very charismatic animal. So that can be my justification, right? So that way it is followed by justification of the given score. So now let's look at while developing the study, what you need to keep in mind. So first you need to see time limit. That time limit should be less. Like let's say my cue board was from -3 to +3. So it took on an average, it took 15 minutes for participants to organize the photos, followed by its justification. And if you have like, if it takes 45 minutes for participants to organize the photos, then they will get bored, and they will be like, and you will not be getting proper justification of the score that they have given. So that way participants should not get bored while they are organizing the photos, right? And the third one is people you are dealing with. Like let's say for example, for my thesis, I knew that I will be dealing with local people, villagers, and they may be or may not be educated. So that's why I chose to use photos instead of photos of animals instead of statements, because it because if I use statements, then it becomes difficult to explain to them that what this statement is trying to say. So it better to give them with provide photos. So photos of animals. So photos of animals I use. So you need to also think that what kind of animal I need to choose, right? So I had two study sites in my thesis. So I was like, okay, I will choose animals that are found in both the areas and that are frequently found and that are seen on regular basis by the local villagers, right? And also considering that the forest staff that I was taking in, I will be taking interviews of them also. So that also is important, that forest staff also knows these animals, should know all these animals. So these are the things that you need to keep in mind. So why I chose this topic or this method for my thesis. So so I wanted to get an experience in community research. I have never worked in community research, and I was always wanted to like gain some experience in it. And secondly, Q method, I have never heard of it before. Nishit sir told me, but yes, when I read about it, and when sir explained me that how it works, it sound kind very interesting to me. And rather than doing uh, semi-structured interviews, I found this uh, very interesting approach, and to understand people's perception. So my topic was to understand people's perception on Indian giant flying squirrel. So that I the species I chose is because it is very understudied species till now. Now the publications are available in Gujarat. Published, there are many papers published by Dr. Nisha and Dr. Nishit sir, and there is a even though there is been work done, still there is lots of information that we need to get for many reasons to fill the gap. And let's take a little peek in my thesis. So these are the photos that I used for my thesis, and so these are the animals that are locally found and people know about this animal. So this is a red wattle lapwing, Indian python, monitor lizards, cobra, spectacle cobra, leopard. This is Indian giant flying squirrel, uh, Stater, francolin, gray francolin, I guess. And this is barn owl, Indian hare. This is Indian civet, uh, bhalu, sorry, sloth bear. So what I used to do is, so I had some photos. I used to carry two photos of some animals in case they are unable to identify it. So it is always carry to, or carry a backup photos in case if you lose it, or if it gets dropped somewhere, so like that. So it's always do better to carry extra photos. So these are the photos from a forest staff training that I was part of. It was done by WCB Research Lab, and with collaborating with Forest Department, Gujarat Forest Department. So here, forest staff are organizing photos depending on their liking and disliking of the animal, followed by their justification. Like here in this photo, you can see holding me phone. So I always prefer to uh, record whatever they are saying, obviously with their permission. Whatever they are saying, justificate or justifying their answers. So because it is very difficult to write it down, and if you are taking interviews of local people, then they might get suspicious and you might miss some of the information. So it is always good to record it. uh, and so the step 4 of the data analysis. So how we are going to do data analysis? So this is the most important part. Everybody, like, the problems that people face, young researchers face, is that once you collect the data, what you are going to do with it, with all this data, right? So and how you going to analyze it, and what you are going to get out of it, right? So that always is a challenge for young researchers. So like, let's see, first you have to enter data in raw data in Excel sheet. So you just enter the data by listening to their interviews, and categorize the justification into small themes into one word. Like, let's say if people are saying that the species is charismatic, then you just write that charismatic species under the score that they have given. And then the finding correlation of the finding correlation of the people, and the that factors that you will be getting. So in the last part is the factor and analysis. So you must be thinking this, what is this factor, and how will you get the factors? So let's say, how will you get the factors? So factors, you can get it, you can do it manually. You can select how many ever factors you want, depending on the listed perception you got from the interviews. And another way is to get another way is that from the eigenvalue, you choose three top three or top two or top four factors, because otherwise if you look at the graph, then the other and the other values will become constant. So you choose the first three highest value for the factors. So factors are basically that you have so many, like if you have taken 30 people's interview, right? So so will it be better if you just show them that these are the 30 peoples and these are their perception, or you can just combine it to into one factor and show them that, yeah, this is the common perception, that is economic impact. So like, let's say out of 30, 15 people, or like let's say 10 people are under factor one, that they think that they share the same perception, and they think that these particular animals are harming them economically. So that way it becomes easy to show, right? Then rather than going with the first option. So basically it is reducing the large number into smaller number to provide the better understanding of it, right? And let's look at the next one, step yes. Yes, so continuing, you must be thinking that how can you do the analysis? So well, is there any software available? So yes, there are software available that you can use. This is the first is PQ method, developed by Peter Schmokes. And there's another one is RStudio. There is one more that you can use, KenQ software, that I recently discovered. And then I have not used it, but I have used both of these softwares. I found these PQ method software the easiest. So what you have to do in RStudio, you have to make your own, you have to install the package of Q method in R, and then you have to make your own script. So that is a bit difficult if you don't know how to use R. So so that's why I went with PQ method, because I didn't know, I was not confident with using R. So, and PQ method software is very easy to use. I'll show you what options it will give you. So here the screenshot of PQ method home screen software. Here it says it is by Peter Schmokes, and here is the link that you can visit and install it. So first you have to, it will ask you the path and or the project or the file name that you want to give. So I put forest Q, and the and then it will show you that where the forest Q file is, right? So currently the forest Q file is in C PQ method folder, and then there is a forest Q file. And then here it will give you these many options, 8 options. So where it will ask you to first enter the statements or the photo names that you have chosen into the software. Like, so the way you have to choose it is just, you have to give them numbering. So if I have 16 or let's say 30 photos, right? So I will be giving them P number 1, P2, P3. That is, P is in photo and 1 is the number sequence. So that way I gave the numbering, and then you can run the then you have to enter the PQ sorts. So then you have to enter the Q sorts. Q sorts are the one that earlier I explained you, that if one person is organizing or has organized the photos in Q board, so that one person's board becomes one Q sort, where if you have 30 participants, then you will be getting 30 sorts. So you have to enter them manually, and then you perform centroid factor analysis and PCA, principal component analysis, and whatever you want to perform. Here is the Varimax rotation is also available. So Varimax rotation is most preferable for this Q method analysis. And yes, and at last you will be getting its output. So you will be getting output in .list file. So here is the, you can see forest.list file that you will be getting, right? So this is the something that I have already done, so that's why it shows here. But you will be getting it, you will find it in this folder. It's PQ method software, right? Where so let's look at next. So your results will be in the form of table. So you have to open the list file into Notepad, Word Notepad. So then it will show you these kind of tables. These are made in Excel, formatted in Excel to give a better look. But yeah, the writings and all that you will be getting it in the that file only. So here it says that Q sort participants. So here the person has given the name of participants PART 006 or 001, like that way. The PART means participants. So this is an example from the earlier study that I showed you, the study of tourism perception in Meghalaya. So here these are the factor score, right? So factor score has, you can see that there is an X next to it. So that means that these factor score that has X next to it, belongs to factor 1. So these many 15 participants are belong to factor 1, and this shows that that all these people have similar perception towards the tourism in their area. Here you can see that there are 8 participants loaded in factor 2. So that means there are 8 participants. Having similar perception. So that's why they are loaded in factor 2. Whereas for factor 3, you have 3 participants. Like that, you will be getting tables. So here they have used statements instead of photos. So here they have used 24 photos. So here are the factor scores in the form of -3 to +3. So here they have given for the statement 1, they have given -1 people that are belong to factor 1, because they don't like the total number of tourists visits the destination during the event. So so for some reason they did not like the statement. So that's why they have given -1. So these scores are the aggregate scores. And here they have given for factor 3 -2. So that way you will be getting scores for each and every photos or statements that you have loaded in the software. Along with that, you will also be getting distinguishing tables. So that will show difference between factor 1 with the other factors and their scores. So that it shows you differences between all the factors altogether. Here is interpretation. So like I explained, factors explanation, once you get the factors, like I said, I got 3 factors for my study. So factors, I gave them, like, first factor was economic impact. So economic impacts can be considered as it. So you need to explain that what economic impact explains, right? So economic impact for my study was animals that harm human life or threaten human life, or their livestock, or their agricultural field like nilgai and wild boar. They are very harmful to their agricultural field. They come into their agriculture field and then eat their crops. So at the end they get very less yield comparatively, and that way they get very less income in their house. So that is all of that are considered as economic impact. So that way you have to give them X factors explanation, and then you have to relate the find the relation between each factors, that factor one is this, factor two is this. Let's look at my fieldwork, that how my fieldwork actually look like. So this is a photo from Alindra village in Ratan Mahal. I was doing interviews from morning, and this is beat guard, and this is here is a watchman. This was the uncle I was taking interviews of. And then so I would go in the morning whenever beat guards are available or watchmen are available, and yes, and then I'll go with them. I'll finish one village or two village, and then I'll come back. So here is the photo of me taking interview of this auntie in KD. So she was telling me about how some animals come and eat their livestock, and they're like, and it harms them economically. So she was telling me about all that. So so this is what I would do. I would carry a folder and carry all these photos, and I will draw whenever I'm free, like whenever I'm back to my room and free. So I will draw these kind of cue board in Xerox paper, and considering writing all the details that you want to know. So here I only have two details, but I took a lot more than this: name and village. I took age and sex and etc etc. So here is, you can see that this is my scoring board, that -3 to +3. Here is, I have given number of P12, that is photo number 12, like that. So it becomes easy for me to write it down, and when I'm putting it in software, then also it becomes easy. So I have also drawn some emojis to show them, to give them better understanding of what +3 and -3 is actually looks like, right? So -3 is really really sad that you don't like, but +3 is really really happy that you love the animal. So some people like laughing a lot because it gives you warning, and because of some superstition, like if it gives 2 eggs, or then the rain will be moderate. If it will give 3 eggs, then the rain will be higher, like that. They make predictions on base of that. So this is the this is cue board I have, is the cue sort number 1. So this is how I would conduct my interviews on field. So along with that, so if you are using cue method, then you will be getting lots of information that you may not want, or that is not relevant to your research or topic. But that is okay. And then if you are getting additional information, it's for your own good. You may use it somewhere, you may not use it somewhere, you may get knowledge out of it. So like that. So let's look at so during morning to evening I would do my field work, and then at night I would from late evening to night I will observe the activities of flying squirrel, and I would collect this fresh half eaten branches dropped by flying squirrel, and I would follow it. Yes, and so in morning also, sometimes if I have some time before leaving for field, so I will go around and look around that if half-eaten drop branches, how many are there, and etc. And I'll note it down. So these are the extra activities that you can do in your field during your field work. So let's look at. So I found this uncle in KVD village, and he uses this. noise making thing for different reason, that we in Gujarati we use it for to celebrate. If I cut somebody's kite during kite festival, then I'll play this, like so people will know, yeah, I'm celebrating, like I cut somebody's kite, like that. So let's look at that. Yes, so this uncle uses this instrument to get rid of wild boar and nilgai in from his farm at night. So when he is guarding, when if he notices that wild boar has come, then he will play this thing, and then the wild boar will get out from there. So this is very interesting. I found it very creative use of this thing. And but so if you look at that, this thing is so this instrument is not as much valuable to us except during the kite festival, right? But this instrument is a lot, it means a lot to this man, because he can do a lot with it. He uses this in varieties of ways. And if he wants to call somebody from other house, so houses are in agricultural field or villages are, like very scattered. So he uses in many different ways. So this is one of the ways that he uses it in. So these kind of small things means a lot to them. And yes, and so why should we use this method? Let's look at that. So first of all, it provides qualitative and quantitative data, both all together, that you may not get in structured interviews or semi-structured interviews. Like let's say I gave the score, I gave the scoring of photos into in Qboard, and along with that I justified my answer. So that becomes my qualitative data, and the scoring is becomes my quantitative data. So it discloses many underlying causes or the reasons. Like let's say if I'm studying human wildlife conflict, then rather than asking them, like why you don't like this animal, so you perform this method. They put wild boar in -3, you get you got the scoring as well. And then since they have to justify the answer, so there may be lots of things that you may not get by asking it directly, but asking it, like like in a very very twisted manner, in using different method like this, you may get underlying causes or the reason that actually causes the conflict. So and also you get better understanding and deeper understanding of people's perception. uh, so like that way, like I just said, that you get varieties of perception, that what actually people feels about this particular issue, like human wildlife conflict, or presence of bear or leopard in their area. So it gives deeper understanding of people's perception, why do they feel like this. Limitations, so like every other method have limitations, this method also has some limitations. So first thing is, it is time consuming. The second one is some justifications are not reliable. Like let's say I faced many problems on my field, challenges on my field during my field time, that I know that that person knows, that person knows the actual answer, right? Like if I say that I have I have this question in my questionnaire, that do people hunt flying squirrel in your area, or have you ever seen hunting of getting flying squirrel getting hunted? So like so I know that that guy knows the answer, but he won't tell, because and the way is because he will, like keep moving around the answer, like nahi nahi mujhe nahi pata, I don't know the answers. And then some, and in other sentence he will be like, ha karte honge hunt, mujhe nahi pata, so that kind of things that you will notice, you will get to notice if you like work on field and gain some experience. So some justifications are not reliable that way. So you cannot generalize the results. Like let's say if I took interviews of villagers, then I cannot say their say their perception, villagers perception is same as tourists that come, tourist perception, right? So I cannot say that, you know, this tourist must be thinking the same as the this villagers. No, that is not true. That way you cannot generalize it. So let's say field challenges that I faced, because for my initial days, I was doing my field work with my colleagues, Shalu, Pratik, Shruti, and Vaidehi. So yes, so that way, and then once I got my permission, I just did the rest of the field work on my own. So while I was with them, while I did my initial field work in Ratanmal with them, I got to learn a lot from them. Like I used to ask Pratik that, you know, how do you start the actual conversation, like, you know, to tell them people. So he taught me many things that I did not know, and later on it yeah I got it, like, you know, I used it in later field work when I was doing it alone. So yes, so doing field work alone is uh, challenging, very challenging. So sometimes you get put into certain situations that are you know, and things get very awkward, so you have to deal with that smartly, and you have to make your boundaries straight with the people that are around you. So sometimes, you know, I would have no lunch. So what's the solution for that? Because I did not have my own vehicle there. So somebody used to come and pick me up, and then, you know, they cannot just come like, you know, drop me off at my lunch site. So, you know, it's very it's not feasible for them. So what you can do is you can just take some, you know, buy few fruits. Like I used to buy, when I was alone, I used to buy bananas and oranges and apples, like that. So and then while, you know, you take some rest at some shop, whenever you are going on field. So I would also carry some extra fruits with me, and I would offer it to whoever is accompanying me. Like let's say watchman is there or a beat guard is there. So I would offer them, and they would really like it, and they would treat you, you know, nicely. So it is a good gesture that you can show. So another is starting a conversation. Like I said, that still sometimes face problems to start a conversation. How do I start a conversation? So there's like, you know, there are many ways you can start. So you can start with that you are a student and you are working on this project for your own study purpose, and you know, and you can definitely say that, and do say that you know, you are not going to share this data with forest department at all, because, you know, they and then that way you can gain trust of them, that, you know, yes, I won't be sharing data without their permission. So, you know, so that way you can gain trust of people. And yeah, let's look at empathizing for their people, for their loss. Like let's say some people, I met a lot of people that they got injured during bear attack, and you know, their livestock got killed in by leopard. So, you know, I don't understand the pain, I don't feel the pain of loss or the damage that they have faced, because, you know, I don't live there, so I have no experience of it. So that way it was very difficult to empathize with them ki, हाँ, कोई बात नहीं, ठीक हो जाएगा. So it did not come naturally from me. But yes, so that was one of the challenge that I faced. So, like, let's see the takeaway from this, from the whole research you know, I've been doing. So, you know, you need to realize, you need to learn that what kind of people you are dealing with or you will be dealing with, so that for your own safety, and you need to know that need to learn to know their intentions, especially you are a female and working alone. So this will really help you. I learned it hard way. Now so and while working you need to enjoy the work that you are doing, and you need to enjoy the process that process of the whole research, starting from zero to getting somewhere, like to getting to publishing a paper. It's a very exhausting process, I would say, but it is very interesting, even though there will be lots of bumps that will come across in the way of your success, but you know you just have to get through them. And if you enjoy the work, if you enjoy the whole process, and the outcome will be like I'm telling you, outcome will be beautiful, and outcome that you will get will be worth of something, especially you are newbie in this field, and if you are trying to earn your name and respect and your work and all that, so it will really help you. So, and if you want to enjoy, and if you're just doing it for sake of doing it, then the outcome will be not as great as as it should be, right? So, and then another one is keep an open mind. So you need to keep an open mind, because your perception may not be similar to the villagers perception, right? So their superstition is they have been learning it since many years from their grandparents, from their parents. So you just need to respect whatever they are thinking or whatever their perception is. Haan, theek hai. I mean, it's okay. It's that way. Just because we live in the city, our perception is different, but their perception is also different. So respect should be there. Keep an open mind. Welcome every thought that they have, and be open to learning new things. Like I would say that while I was in QD, I used to go out with I used to go on field with a watchman named Parvat Bhai, right? So when we will when we are walking or hiking, then he will teach me, he will tell me lots of things about plants, and I have never been interested in plants before ever. I don't know why. I mean, it's just, yeah. So yes, so that way he taught me a lot about plants, and since then I'm like, wow, these plants are used by local people to treat their minor wounds or minor medical things or some diseases. So that is actually very true. And I many times I saw lots of things in people's house that they eat from plants and make medicines out of plants. So this is just it got me interested into botany. And one should definitely open to learning new things. If you're just gonna say that if you're gonna be picky that I don't want to learn, that then that's I mean, otherwise I don't know, I mean, what are you going to do then if you face the same thing in future? So learn to listen. So there will be lots of things that people will tell you, like so the previous slides I showed a photo of an auntie. She was telling me about how wild boar and nilgai destroy their crops. So she was also telling me lots of stuff about how her husband passed away, and she has to live with her daughter, and it's been very difficult journey and all that. So always learn to listen to them, and they will like it, and they'll in some way they will appreciate it always if you are listening to them. So that is also a good thing that you can do. uh, so also having fun is important. Working and working is just get you crazy. It will just you will go crazy. So so fun of, so what you must be thinking that what fun you can have in forest, where there is a lot of fun you can have. So I used to go to Chor Gufa touristy places, so where people generally go. You just go to Chor Gufa. I went there and I found a bear's cat, and that was like something what very intrigued and interesting. Just be tourist for a day, you will like it. So there's this waterfall in Ratanma, so we went there with my colleagues, and we had little bit of fun after long day of field work. So that is also important. So in what I used to do is to get a bond, to make bonding with the local staff over there, and local cooking staff in forest sites. I used to bring some pasta and stuff. So I will make pasta and give thoda thoda, little to everybody. So and then so they will get a idea of glimpse of how people live in the city and what people eat in the city. So they have never had pasta. Or once I made this this masala oats, and then I made it one day in KVD, and gave it to cooking staff because they were around me. So I was like, okay, I gave them for tasting, and they were like, oh, this is very interesting. Is this what you eat at home also? I was like, no. So these are kind of very interesting to see them, the reaction and stuff. So that way, if you want to go for field work, then you can ask them. They will help you very nicely, and they will be very nice to you, like that. So that way, you can build up bonding with the people. So yes, so now we have come to the end of the talk, and I would like to thank WCB Research Foundation for the wonderful opportunity, um, and Dr. Nishit Daraya, who is also my guide, for his guidance throughout the past 1 year. I have been doing my dissertation, and for in every possible way. Yes, and also my friends and colleagues, so who helped me, with traveling and giving me accompanying uh, with me in for some time. So that is also helps a lot, because if you're working on field, and you may feel a little bit depressed, and you have nobody to talk to. So talking to friends and having colleagues is always a great thing. These are my references. uh, Thank you very much for listening to me, and if you have any questions, please go ahead.